Hi everyone, this is Nadia. I'm an occult specialist that uses spiritual intelligence to empower entrepreneurs into healthy, empowered money stories to live a balanced life. Today we're going to be looking at what is free thinking entrepreneurship 101, because of course not all entrepreneurship is created equal. So join me and we're going to discuss this topic that I've seen is a big prevalence in society. Okay. Most entrepreneurship has become very pedestrian. It has become very predictable, like employment. You kind of sort of know what someone's gonna say because most people confuse business with entrepreneurship. Business is not entrepreneurship. There are a lot of business owners I personally know who do not have entrepreneurial based qualities at all whatsoever. The first thing that I usually say that entrepreneurship consists of is risk taking. Yes, in order to go into business, you have to be a risk taker. You have to take risks. You have to jump when it's not convenient. You have to do all different types of things. But when it comes to free thinking entrepreneurship, there comes a little bit of a problem. Because we are creatures of habit, and because people are such creatures of that habit, they usually look at the tried and tested. There were some people who used to say to me when I guess I was much younger that, oh well, why would you want to reinvent the wheel? That's a bit boring, isn't it? Why don't you just do what everybody else is doing? Of course, because everybody thinks you're a sheep too, basically. So I'm trying to put AC on so that I can talk to you guys properly. So basically, why don't you become a sheep? This is the premise of free thinking entrepreneurship. Free thinking entrepreneurship is actually quite rare, believe it or not. And the reason it's rare is because, again, like I've said, there's the tried and tested with entrepreneurship. It's you usually have to either bootstrap something, which is normal. I did that. Or you have to approach investors, whether it's private equity or venture capital, or even personal, like personal investing. That's how you need to get the money to start it. That's how you need to do this. There is always a playbook of how you need to do something constantly. So is there any surprise that when I look at people, most entrepreneurs actually have very stuck thinking? That's pretty much of a bold statement to make, but they've got a lot of stuck thinking. And they've got stuck thinking because, again, just like employment, they're playing from a rule book. Most people with a typical entrepreneurial mentality in this point in time, the men especially, I can usually tell if a man is an online business owner just by the way he dresses, just by the kind of things that he says, kind of words that come out of his mouth, the kind of things that he's doing. But in actual fact, that is stuck consciousness because, just like everybody else, he is just part of the herd. Now, he might be successful when it comes to his money. He might be successful when it comes to his businesses. He might know how to market himself, market his businesses. But again, he's not an iconoclast. He's not an individual. He's not somebody that is memorable. He is just another name, another face in a sea of very many. I run an online business. It gives me freedom. I can travel. Blah, 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 blah. We've heard everything. But yeah, it's very good to have freedom, to be able to travel. I do it. I've done it with Spartanite. But you're not free thinking. Because again, you're looking at somebody's lifestyle and thinking, and that's usually the premise of it. I'm gonna look at somebody's lifestyle and I'm gonna copy what they are because that's what I think success is. I had this conversation with somebody who's one of my clients, and I think I have made a video on this briefly, but I want to cover the topic again. That there was a lady that came to me and she said, I want I can't remember what she said. I think it was she wanted a big house. That's fine. She wanted a boat or something. I can't remember. It was like a really big purchase, and I was like, why? And it was more along the lines of, well, my cousin runs a business and he's successful and he has this. So what it is with a lot of entrepreneurs, or what people consider entrepreneurship more than anything, is if I can only look a certain way, it's always the look. If I can only look a certain way, people will consider me successful. When people consider me successful, I'll start to get to jobs, opportunities, joint ventures, collaborations, and yeah, that's not too far from the truth, because most people are shallow in society. If they see that you drive a nice car, you're well presented, you live in a nice house, they want to suck up to you and talk to you because now you're of value to them. We live in a value-based society, but we live, as Clark has often taught me, in a very funny-based value society where the values are all back to front. The reason lots of people cannot find success in life is because what they value is trash. That's pretty offensive to a lot of people, but it's true. Whatever, everybody values something. They whether it's good, whether it's bad, it doesn't make a difference what it is they're valuing. But they're usually valuing trash. Now, going back to the free-thinking entrepreneurship. Free-thinking entrepreneurship usually comes from having your own mind. It comes from having critical thinking. It comes from being educated. Just because somebody is entrepreneurial doesn't mean they're educated. Doesn't mean that they can hold two opposing thoughts in their mind at the same time and have balance with it. The best balance I can give people is my spiritual beliefs. I'm born in a Muslim family. I am also that, and I also work with the magical endeavors, the left-hand path. I work with different types of orders. So it's like, how? Isn't it that this, and then people's minds start, like, I think I did this, is it a Christmas or 2 Christmases ago? People's minds start to jam up in binaries, but, and there's always a but, because they're desperately trying to defend their cognitive bias all the time. But I heard you can't do this, or a woman can't, you know, it cuts off because their mind stops functioning. Being free thinking, especially in entrepreneurial realms, simply means that you have an open mind. Most people don't have an open mind. They'd like to convince themselves that they have an open mind. They don't. Because the moment you present information that per se challenges whatever bullshit beliefs that their family has given them, whatever paradigm they've come from, that's it. All hell breaks loose. They go quiet on you. They go dead on you. People will block you. People will disappear. It's like, you can't challenge us. And that is the sorry and sad state that we live in society today, that you can't seem to challenge anybody with anything anymore. I did do a video a couple of moons ago where I said the truth is neither polite and nor is it convenient. You're not rewarded for speaking the truth in society. You're rewarded for being a sheep. The more sheep you, one of my friends, David, always says this, shout out, Solomon Exotic, shout out. People have a PhD in being a sheep. If one person has done it, that's it, meh. The rest of everybody has to do it too. And if you don't do meh, there's a bit of a problem. When I was younger, I always had my own beliefs, own opinions. If someone told me something's evil, I said, really? I need to find out how it's evil and why. But religion said, okay, but maybe religion said it. Maybe you're happy to believe. I want to find it out for myself. Okay, what's the worst thing? I'll get my hand burnt, fine. I'll go to the hospital, I'll put something on it. But the thing is, when you're free thinking in nature, it's very difficult to stop that person. To start off with, free thinking and employment don't go hand in hand. Employment is just you do what we tell you. We're going to give you the illusion that you have some sort of freedom and, you know, whatever it is, or extra nonsense that we tell you. And should you dare to question any of us, because it's just psychopathic abuse made relevant for people, but people don't like to admit that, then we penalize you by taking away your job. Then you're stuck with some mortgage that you can't pay, or rent you can't pay, and expenses because you like living, you like flexing and showing people what you have. This society is funny. I often say that let people first budget for all the nonsense that they want to show people. Oh my God, look, I ate in this 5-star hotel. Oh my God, look, I'm rich, I drive a big car. Look at me. Anybody can drive a big car. It doesn't make you anything special, man. But not to get off topic too much and not to veer off on a tangent, which is typically a hallmark of a mind of somebody like mine. Free thinking entrepreneurship, you question. There was somebody I read on LinkedIn the other day and said, oh, are you poor? I thought, wow, I have to wait and let me figure what the hell this says out. And it was something about passing over opportunities. It's beggars believe how desperate people have become, that they feel that every opportunity is going to move the business forward. They don't understand the core mission. They don't understand the mission DNA. Most people's businesses are a transistent vehicle for money. That's all they care about. Oh my God, how much money did I make in my business? That's it. They're not there to help people. They're not there to uplift people. You know, they think, oh, I'm providing, how do I put this? Yes, in essence, entrepreneurship is basically spotting a gap in the market, a gap that only you and you can fill. But there are a lot of people who, as I said, in society, mediocrity is rewarded. Excellence is punished, and mediocrity is rewarded. There are a lot of people who have made a lot of money by being dumb, stupid, and mediocre. There is nothing special about these people. They're just mediocre with a lot of money because they've tapped into a market that's also dumb, right? And where there's a market where people are dumb, people are going to flock to it because you don't need anything mentally to go ahead and do whatever it is. So if you're selling, I don't know, Hondas, it's easy to find buyers for it because everybody can afford it. If you're selling, I don't know, a Rolls, a Bentley, a Maybach, they're prestigious cars. For instance, somebody thinks that a supercar is the same thing as a prestigious car. A Maserati, a Lamborghini, and a Ferrari is not a prestigious car. It is one of those cars, it's a flashy car. It's a car when you want attention. Not even particularly you want to drive fast, that's nice. It's a fast lane type of car in every sense of the word. It's not prestige, it doesn't speak of class. To me, a Ferrari doesn't speak of class. It's a fast car, it's to a luxury car, but it is not a car that I would think, oh, this person is established, this person is distinguished, this person has this, that. So everything has its own rank. And most people are not willing to admit that, especially in entrepreneurship. They think all things are not created equal. To be free thinking in entrepreneurship is to take an idea per se nobody has ever seen, ever witnessed, ever understood, and to translate it into the realm of an understanding that most people simply won't get. I did that with Spartanite to start with. It took me many years to even understand what the hell I wanted to do with Spartanite to start with. Forget anything else. Like, I really, really struggled because I was like, it's a concept of real power, real empowerment. And so the word of empowerment has been destroyed. In Western society, empowerment for women is behaving like a prostitute, basically. It's take my clothes off and behave like a bitch, behave like a slut, a whore, and expect men to feed my addictions for it. Traditional entrepreneurship is feeding into that. It's feeding into, I moved from one paradigm to the next. Man, oh man, no place to park, huh? Okay, it's feeding into this sense of a validation, basically. A validation that most people crave. Well, you know, I'm successful, so yeah, pay attention, look at me, I'm important, and they're just looking for importance all the time. When you're looking for importance all the time, you can't focus on the people that you really need to help in life, because what you're doing is you're clout chasing. It's consistent clout chasing all the time. You don't have an original thought in your mind. So I see a lot of these entrepreneurial pages, maybe on Instagram. Instagram is an interesting platform. It's good and it's bad. It's one of those things. It's one of the platforms I personally use most. And most entrepreneurship is always, it's like a 20-year-old boy talking about it. It's always, you have to make the most amount of money, you have to shit on everybody else whilst you're doing it, you have to have a hot, stupid trophy bimbo next to you, you have to have 3 online businesses, otherwise you're not relevant, you have to be investing in cryptocurrency, otherwise what the hell is wrong with you. There are parameters, and when I read traditional entrepreneurship, of course it's masculine to start with because it's beating the independence of your own drum. But what a lot of entrepreneurship is missing is original thought. Entrepreneurship is traditionally something that's very good. It's pioneering in nature. It's bringing something to the marketplace that's very different, very special. And you're filling them in a gap in a way that only you can do. Most people are not filling in gaps. They're just going and looking what anybody else is doing. Oh, let me do that too, because obviously it's working for them, so maybe it will work for me. Now we have this whole epidemic of gurus. Basically, I'm an online guru. I flipped real estate. Oh god, I just want to stop myself when I say that. I sold courses, I did seminars, I acted like a bastard, but look at me, I'm rich. Because that's the connotation that society teaches us, especially. That's the reason most women don't even bother, because they're like, it's a man's world, we'll never fit in. Yeah, and then what happens is they end up, especially for women, they end up becoming like men. They lose any sense of femininity, because we know as women that most men don't take women seriously. They're whimsical, they can't think logically. Logic is not a woman's domain, so in order to adapt logic, even for myself, you have to have a slat of masculine shard of energy. And so nobody has ever showed a lot of these women that you can be strong, you can be confident, but you can also be very feminine. No one has shown a lot of men that you can have original thought in entrepreneurship. They don't even have the concept of what original thought is. It's like, huh? Oh, but I thought everybody drives a yellow car. Oh, but I thought. It's always I thought. Because your mind is being imprinted all the time. If somebody can control you, they can influence you. And if somebody can influence you, that's a dangerous place to be. People don't like the fact when you're not easily influenced in society. You're a scary, scary individual. This person is a witch. They should be burnt at the stake like the Salem witch trials. Because they have thoughts that are not in alignment and correspondence with me. This person is a threat. As like when I was driving, I'll say that most people think that they're open-minded. There are many business owners, there are many investors, there are many politicians that I've worked with. And it's a very rigid type of thinking. It's oh my god, man. There was this one guy who was I will tell you guys the story of this, and it's quite painful to say it, but I will explain it. He was Vietnamese. And he was convinced that Vietnamese food is the best in the world. Vietnamese people are best in the world. I said, well, how can you learn from anybody else? If you think your culture, your language, your religion, you, everything's you because you're selfish. He wasn't expecting to hear that. He was expecting me to teach him strategies about how to get more business. I said, business is reliant on the person running it. If the person running it knows what they're doing, they can tap into any quantum energy at any field at any time and change their reality within 24 to 72 hours. You can completely wipe a timeline out. He was not ready to hear that. He had worked with some sort of coach or something who told him, oh, you need a minimum of 12 months to get there. The problem with most people is that building is the only thing they've been taught. Building is a very masculine thing. Of course, men are strong. They physically build. I'm looking at my shoulders because that's kind of, I feel like I want to channel the energy. Like, men are the building blocks of society. I admire men for that. But what was happening is that whoever the hell was coaching him was not shifting his paradigm. He was just doing the same old hamster wheel, regurgitated, recursive mentality. And to even talk about this is very reptilian in nature for me. It's quite pathetic. And I said, if you think Vietnamese food is the best in the world, if you think Vietnamese noodles are best in the world, if you think Vietnamese women are best in the world, then why are you not in Vietnam at the moment? Why are you choosing to live in another country? Yes, there is a sense of nationalism a person can feel about their race, about their ethnicity. I encourage people to feel this. But please don't be so blind that you miss out on some wonderful things in the world. And that's again, I go back to the free thinking thing that I'm saying about entrepreneurship. It's this closed-minded nonsense. You're closed-minded and you don't even know it. Because when people try and educate you in something else, and most people think they're educated, but they're not. You ask them about cultural stuff, they can't tell you anything, basically. You ask them different things, they get offended and intimidated. It's difficult to have conversations with people that, for me personally, at least, who are not educated. What the hell am I going to say to them? wow, we live really in an epidemic. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, a lot of people think that, you know, oh, I run a business, I'm an entrepreneur. Not really. No. Even there are people who have made tons of money. Tons of money. And I have a lot of respect, because to make that level of money is no joke. To receive that level of money is no joke. But when you really sit down with their mentality, it is still mundane in nature. It's not open, it's not expansive. This is the set way to do things. This is the set way to sell a good, a product, a commodity, a service. This is the set way to deal with a client. This is a set way to do this. This is how it's always done. I think Saturn is in Aquarius at the moment. I definitely finished my Saturn return, so that's done. And being an Aquarius woman myself, I always challenge structure. I have a lot of Capricorn energy, so I value structure, but I challenge it enough to say, maybe there's another way of doing it. No, it's always been done this way. Because to accept the fact that you have to do something another way means that you have to change your own paradigm in this world. Means that you have to look at things from a different perspective. People don't want to do that. But this is what my family told me. Yeah. Maybe your family was wrong. Have you ever thought of that? Oh my God. The cognitive dissonance kicks in. You know what? Fuck you. We don't want to hear anything from you. This, that. There was a woman whose eyebrows I did. I always tell this story. I was 23 at the time. There are two stories I want to tell you before I wrap up in this video. And I'm talking about open-mindedness here. One is entrepreneurial in nature, one is not. So I was working in this place and I was doing eyebrows. For all of you guys that don't know, by trade, I am a beautician. I used to run my own salon many years ago. And we were talking about her son recently getting married. So I'm busy threading her eyebrow basically and making it all crisp and clean. And she says that her son got married, you know, and she has a new daughter-in-law. And she's speaking about buying a house. She said, oh, it's really difficult to buy a house and this, that. And I said, I understand. And that's when I learned to keep my mouth shut from a lot of people. This instance taught me stuff. Because it's naturally how I think, but I realized most people don't think that way. And it came as a, wow, it was very jarring. So I said, yeah, I understand. I said, you know, it can always be a challenge, especially when you get married. I was this, that. I was just like, but you know, it's one of those things. It doesn't have to be hard. I said to her, you know, I understand that buying a house, there are two ways of buying a house. You can obviously buying it mortgage, you know, as in like you have a set base of installments basically over a period of time, whether it's an independent variable or if a fixed rate APR, whatever. Or you can buy it cash. And that's it. She lost her shit. She got out of the chair. She screamed at me. I didn't tell her to go buy it cash. There's no mention of me saying this in this point that, oh, I think your son and your new daughter-in-law should buy it cash. I mean, for God's sake, they're struggling to get a mortgage, let alone trying to find anything cash. But the very mere mention of buying a house cash, she's like, don't tell me what to do. She jumped out of the chair. She jumped out of the chair. I looked at her and I said, madam, please sit down. I need to finish your eyebrows. Don't tell me how to live my life. How am I telling you how to live your life? I'm having a conversation with you. It reminds me of the chef over here, Jamie Oliver, when people are like, he's always telling us what to do. Like, okay, if you want to be fat, if you want to be ugly, and if you want to eat unhealthy shit and die quickly, you go do that in peace. Stop trying to blame somebody who's actually trying to help people who want the help. You can't help most people. That's the first thing. After that, I learned that, man, you know, Nadia, it's very good to keep your goals and ambitions to yourself. Because, you know, we're living in a society of sheep and dry husks, and just leave it there. Number 2 is one of the fun things. I remember being on Facebook many years ago. Ironically, I think I was about 24 at the time, so this is about a year later. And there was a group that I joined, and it was, I think, about finding a magnificent man. So I'm telling on myself here, but I loved the group. I joined it, and there was a guy, and I think his girlfriend, I don't think he was married to her, and they set up, and at that time, you know, the concept of the dark masculine, the dark feminine was like, oh my God, there are people like this that exist in the world. I was so happy, and in a lot of pain, but I didn't realize it, and I was trying to understand my own Spartanite energy. And, I posted a comment in the group, and, the guys all in my inbox and saying, hey, thank you so much for, posting your comment. I just want to say that I watched a video of your line. So I said to him, thank you so much for watching one of my videos. Why are you in my inbox? I just posted in the group. Like, I didn't know if he wanted to have a private conversation with me, and I was a very different person at 24 to who I am now. And he said, I have a piece of advice for you. And I said, sure, I'd love to hear it. I'm always open to hearing people's guidance and advice. And he said, I think you should tone it down. Tone what down? And he was like, personally, I don't think you'll be able to find a man. Why? And he was like, you're too much for a man. Okay, how? So at this point, instead of shutting him down, I'm curious. I'm like, I need to know this. He's like, oh, and I said, oh, I see. And I've always been told to tone it down in polite society, especially threats of men who will marry you. You won't find anyone to marry. It's quite comical as I say this. It's quite funny, actually. No man will like you. It was always a threat of a man. And it going back to free thinking entrepreneurship. I wanted to take a lot of the tips from the group and be like, man, this is good. I like this. But, he came with his narrow-mindedness. And I just wrote a couple of sentences in that comment. I spoke about losing my dad at 18. And I spoke about a couple of other things. I don't know why that was so threatening. Don't people lose their parents? But I assume it's the manner I said it in. It's the Spartanite energy that I said it in. And I said to this guy, for a guy that's teaching women how to find some sort of magnificent man, maybe you need your own help first. He obviously didn't like that. People think they're free thinking until you challenge them. Until you tell them something that they've never heard, never seen. When you're free thinking, no amount of fear is going to shame you in your business, in your life. No amount of tone it down, be somebody else, be more amicable, be this, be that. I said to him, I don't want to be something else to be with a man. I want to be myself. I'm sorry if that's the message you're giving women about being something else, because women are always told you have to be a quiet little sheep for a man to be interested in you. Yeah, there are a lot of guys that like that. They love it because they can get to pull your reins and control you. I went through it when I was younger. What can you do? And it goes back to entrepreneurship. If you're not doing business a certain way, something wrong with this person. You're too friendly with the client, man, there's something wrong with you. You need a boundary. For most people, boundaries means being cold as hell with somebody. Being professional is being cold as hell. You look at the email, it looks more sterile than somebody who's gone through menopause. What the hell is wrong with you people? I always say that. Don't you live? Is there nothing alive inside you? Are you as boring as mayonnaise on a cardboard cutout? There's nothing free thinking going on upstairs. Meh, I should do this. Get to the next stage. Meh, I should do this. Meh, I should do this. Some of you guys are working jobs that even robots wouldn't take. So entrepreneurship, in essence, is not just a freewheeling serial wheeling and dealing of a free market enterprise. It's also being free in the mind, free of convention, free of oppressive tradition. I like tradition, but I don't like oppressive tradition. So think of it this way. What can you do in your business today? What can you do in your life today that is unique to you and only you? You can take ideas, you can be inspired by ideas, but the premise and what I want to conclude this video on is you came to this world as an original. Please don't die as a copy of somebody else. Don't die what society is forcing you to become. Be yourself. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back soon with another round. Take care. I hope you have a good day ahead. Bye.